Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the last game of the night here at the Mobile Fire Challenger Series. I am Rapid, with me is Ozaraki, and we're getting in, like I said, to the last game of the night. It's Complexity, taking on Gold Gaming Los Angeles. We're going to get into champion picks and bans. Last game of the night, and something I want to mention as a stat from that last game we just finished watching. Inox actually has 0 ranked games with Jarvan the Fourth, and he wanted to play Lee Sin, but they didn't want to risk putting such a micro-intensive champion on Inox because sometimes he actually has like 200 ping. And so he actually played Jarvan the Fourth on 180 ping that game after having never played him in ranked before, never died, and went legendary. So if you guys wondered how good Inox is, yeah, there you go. We're into picks and bans for Complexity versus Ggla. Ari, Twisted Fate, Kale, and Rumble being banned out. Pretty standard counter picks across the board.
Oh yeah, a lot of very strong champions all around, although Kale is sort of an anomaly in my mind, although I don't know if anyone in Complexity generally, likes Kale more than the average person, but her ultimate can disrupt teamfights very well, and she is still a pretty decent lane bully, so she's got that going for her as well, but other than that, across the board, Twisted Fate. People are always banning global pressure. We're seeing Twisted Fate bans, we're seeing Shen bans. People just don't like those champions because you can say, all right, let's go for this tower dive in the bot lane. It's 3 versus 2, we got this. And suddenly Shen teleports in, or Twisted Fate teleports in, and then it's a 3v3, or maybe even a 4v3 if both of those champions are on the same team. So it's something that a lot of people want to ban out, and champions like Rumble and Kennen, those are just lane bullies in general. It's hard to win lane against those two champions, and come late game, both of those champions are really awesome and bring a lot of damage to a team fight, and it looks like an insta-lock Elise for Mega Zero. There we go. Not actually picking the Renekton first, which is a little bit odd, but I think they do want the Elise to be a little bit more of a high priority.
Yeah, at least no matter where you put her, is gonna do pretty well. Ezreal hovered over by Lana Mortis. This could be pretty strong pick. There's no Caitlyn ban, and Complexity, they could just lock in Ezreal Caitlyn right now and just kind of, walk their way to the enemy nexus. Double AD as a composition. Curse Academy's played it a few times, but there's the Vayne. Double AD it is. We're gonna see Prolly on his AD. It's gonna be the blue build. Ezreal in the middle lane for Complexity. This is one of the strongest champion lineups that we've really ever seen. Not only just the competitive challenger scene in North America, actually coming over from Korea. Complexity have wholeheartedly embraced this. It's something that they actually aren't too scared about running. The only problem is they went with the Vayne instead of a Caitlyn. Traditionally, Caitlyn is the pick for Super, but this is actually a reaction from Complexity saying, look, we can't push down turrets early because of the super armors, so we're just going to give Caitlyn away, not go for the early turret push, but still have that late game in the bag when Blue Build Ezreal finally kicks in.
Especially when it's Prolly on Ezreal. We've seen him so many times. I think it was last week where he was just landing ultimate after ultimate. He was doing extremely well, kiting everyone around the entire map, and the entire time he was just farming bot. And as soon as he showed up in these team fights, he started winning them for his team. So that's a very strong pick to have Prolly on Ezreal. And Vayne also just such a high amount of damage during the late game. I think she could still be viable for the double AD. As you said, they're not going to be pushing down turrets as fast as possible, but they're still going to have quite a bit of power when it comes to that late game. So they also have Mega Zero, and that is actually why they let Renekton slip through in terms of their first pick, because Renekton is also heavy AD, whereas they wanted Mega Zero on Elise, where it's a champion or they might have Mega Zero play Shen and Lana Mortis might take the Elise jungle. That's possible too, but either way, they wanted Elise for the magic damage for the rest of her team, so that is something that's going to balance out this sort of double AD, and on top of that, we also see Shen picked, which is going to serve as their tank for the game, so all around, I am liking this double AD comp from Complexity.
I'm somewhat at a loss for words right now, and I think that the biggest thing to watch out for double AD, they went with MIA's Fiddlestick support, and with a Shen for the front line, Lana Mortis will be building tank Elise this time, and I don't even know what to say. This is a picture-perfect double AD lineup for Complexity, going up against what is actually kind of interesting for Ggla. They're going to lock in that Karthus for easy. He's traditionally an Ahri player, but with his Ahri banned out, not actually going to see anything else from him right now. I mean, the big thing to watch out for is going to be that top lane. Billy Boss's Renekton taken away from Mega Zero. If you see Mega Zero on Renekton, you just kind of, go out, get a drink, come back in 20 minutes in FF. But it's going to be on Billy Boss. He's actually a pretty big boss in and of his own right. Billy was the sub for Complexity when Mega Zero was out of town on vacation. Mega Zero is still on vacation, but with a good internet connection to play it. So he's going to be going with Shen up against Renekton, and it's going to be a tank battle. If you, as Renekton, can out damage the tank scaling from Mega Zero, then you're just like, okay, well, GG, you can't split push against me. I can kill you over and over again. But if you get too tanky as Shen, there's no way Renekton's ever going to kill you because his damage is going to fall off a little bit too quickly. So we're going to have this chance to see how those top lanes go out, but really more interested to see how this Karthus is going to play into the Ggla composition.
It's going to be weird. He's going to, he can farm from a distance, but at the same time, probably on Ezreal. Ezreal is a champion that can harass you from a great distance as well. But one of the other big things that's going to be scary in this game is Wappa Chang on Lee Sin. And I think a lot of people don't realize the threat that's there, where he's played Lee Sin for the past so many games in a row in terms of MCS, and he's gotten better and better. We see him landing sonic waves all over the place. He's starting to become a really big threat on Lee Sin. I'm actually surprised they gave it to him. On top of Bunny Fufu getting Thresh, he's a really good Thresh player down there as well. So a lot of the really favored champions on the side of GGLA. So they're gonna have to worry about that. However, as you said before, picture perfect double AD comp. So this game is going to be really hard to call in the picks and bans phase. We'll have to see what happens in game.
So we are going to be getting into that game here in just a minute, so don't go anywhere because when we come back, it's the last game of the night here at MCS Complexity, taking on Gold Gaming Los Angeles. What a good way to close out the day. I do want to close things out, at least for right now, by thanking our sponsors, iBuyPower, Razer Academy, and Fatality Gaming Gear. If you guys want to help support MCS as well, you can head over to mcsesports.com/tips and leave us a little bit of a donation as well as a shout out if you want to read if you want us to read something on air. So I do want to thank you guys for your support. Thanks for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. MCS will continue for our final game of the day when we come back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the last game of the night here in MCS Mobile Fire Challenger Series. I am Rapid. With me is Azaraki, and we're getting things back out onto the Rift. Complexity in the blue coming up from the bottom right-hand corner, bottom left-hand corner. Bottom right-hand corner, that'd be an interesting place to spawn. Bottom left-hand corner of Summoner's Rift, going up against GGLA. Gold Gaming Los Angeles coming down in the red from the upper right. Teams both going to be coming down the middle lane, not going off to any side lanes for a roundabout way to engage. think the really big thing to note is that with them oscillating around in kind of a yin-yang shape, the ward placed right now by MIA is going to be huge at scouting out this early invade.
It is, and one other thing I'd like to note is the fact that both Wapachang and Loudamortis jungling, and they picked up Doran's Blades each, which is a sort of an odd jungle pick item for your first buy. Normally, we see a Hunter's Machete on most junglers 90% of the time, but we've seen already, I think Loudamortis has gone for the Doran's Blade Elise first off before, and that gives him a little bit more damage. It gives him more usefulness outside of the jungle than simply a Hunter's Machete will, because in a gank, Hunter's Machete isn't going to do anything for you. It's going to give you extra damage against minions. Okay. Well, what does that do in a gank against champions? It doesn't really do anything, so I think both of these guys are going to look for a little bit more in terms of early ganks in the early game, when they're just starting, when they have only their first item, so that's going to be something to watch out for a little bit, and that's what I think is going to happen with the Doran's Blade start.
Now, we've seen Doran's Blade out of a lot of champions, but triple Doran's Blade there from W5D as well as Elise. It really is for the early game. When you build Doran's Blades on Elise, you're saying, hey, I don't want a Spirit of the Spectral Wraith very quickly. I don't want that mana regen. I don't want anything in the jungle other than just straight up power. It's going to give him the sustain that he needs, but it's really about that auto attack damage. And, I mean, oh my goodness, we're going to see a little bit of confrontation. Loudamortis finds Wapachang. We're going to low in for the damage, force the flash over the Wappa. Not really anywhere to go but up. The rest of his team kind of separated, and this is going to be a red steel attempt. Probably there for a little bit of assistance, and you can see bottom lane, the duo, Ulam and Bunny Fufu, like, wait a second, we don't want to be going down bottom if this is what Complexity are going to do. Rotate up towards the top lane. You see Wapachang still in base, picking up some potions, going to what looks to be a 1v1 in the bottom against Mega Zero.
And so far, unfortunately, Wapachang, his jungle's going to be pretty far behind because of that early red steal, and that's really unfortunate for him. He's going to have to start blue, which on Lee Sin, it gives him cooldowns, but at the same time, you really want that red for a little bit more in terms of ganking power. Once your Tempest wears off, once your Cripple wears off, then there's really nothing left for you to CC in a gank, unless you're level 6 and you have your ultimate, but that's level 6, so it's going to cripple his jungle, and I do like how he's going to go for the enemy red, actually, so that's going to be something that helps him out quite a bit. Now, I'm actually surprised that nobody on Complexity has actually warded their own red. However, Prawley is making his way back down here. He does know about it. We'll see if they can make anything happen off of it, but Wapachang gets the buff really quickly, and I think they're just going to be able to survive this.
Taking the buff, making it out alive. Loudamortis not going to let him go without a little bit of extra damage. That's more just kind of like, I really, really hate you right now. Wapachang Mang getting out of there, back on over to his own blue buff. That's going to be double buffs for Loudamortis, and probably the same thing over there for Wapachang.
And looking at some of the lane matchups, other than that initial lane swap, everything is the same. Karthus is actually fairly popular 2v1. He can just farm from a distance with Lay Waste, but at the moment he's going to be facing quite a bit of zone against Prawley, because Prawley can easily, like I said before, poke out with Mystic Shots. It's a very long range ability and does quite a bit of early game damage, so that's very strong for him. Wapachang now starting on his own blue. He's a little bit farther behind in his jungle, but with a successful red invade, he's not going to be too far behind, so he can still easily get back into this. But it looks like he's going down to the bot lane. They're going to try to set everything back in order. Trooper and MIA in the bot lane, and I think Ulam and Bunny Fufu are going to be headed down there as well, since Billy Boss is already near the top lane. So it looks like we're going to see a normal sort of lane matchup once again, but at this point, we're seeing so many lane swaps. What exactly is normal anymore?
Especially the way the games start off, there's nothing standard. It's 2v1 still in the bottom lane, as Wapachang coming out of the jungle for a 1v2. Not really sure if we're going to see all that much action, and as well, especially during a pause. Nothing going on just yet. Mainly Prawley's having some issues there in the middle lane. You can see actually in the comments or in the chat, even Easy was just like, is Prawley having some issues? And the answer is yes. So we're going to take a little bit of a break to kind of get him back into the game. I want to make sure he's on a good server connection and hopefully not having all too many issues. But like you're talking about, the lane swaps, just going to have standard lanes across the board as once again rotating out there for Ggla. Probably is going to DC and then hopefully Reese, which is also a delicious form of chocolate I really wish I had right now. As soon as he possibly can, at least just going over there around her blue buff. Gonna help out top lane, maybe even go for a gank, but with a ward at the exit of the jungle, not gonna be too sneaky about it.
It looks like Probably has reconnected, so he's going to be getting back into this game. We should see an unpause within the next couple seconds, so that's pretty good. But talking about some of these lane swaps, so far nobody has really benefited at all. We see 20 CS on Caitlyn to 21 on Vayne, 11 on Billy Boss, and 7 on Mega Zero. No one's really edged out a lead in terms of how these lanes were swapped around, so we're just once again going to revert back to the normal phase and see what these teams can do. Now we do see Chuper started with a cloth armor, picking that up after he got his Doran's blade, so mitigating some of the harass that Ulam can bring out with Caitlyn, and Caitlyn is really dependent on that auto attack harass. And cloth armor is a pretty cheap item that helps you defend against that, so I think that was actually a good idea on Chuper to pick that up. I mean, he didn't have enough gold when he went back to pick up a big item like a BF sword or a Vamp Scepter or anything like that. So, actually, it would be a Vamp Scepter because everyone goes Blade of the Ruined King first on Vayne, but either way, he didn't have enough money for the Vamp Scepter, so cloth armor is something that'll help him edge out the lane a little bit, so I like the choice.
Alright, now you can see Thresh kind of following Ulam down there to the bottom lane, and well, I guess while we're in the pause, speaking of following, you can follow us on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and basically everything at MCS Esports. You can also stick around after the broadcast for subscriber games with players, casters, managers, a lot of personalities here from MCS. So if you are subscribed to the channel, then you're eligible for that if you want to stick around. If you're not, then what are you doing? Support esports and click the subscribe button right now. You can also support us by tweeting at us on Twitter. You can tweet at myself at Rapid Casting and my wonderful co-caster at Azaraki Dragon. Hashtag MCS, and I'll be sure to respond to as much as I possibly can because WTF, I love Twitter and also interacting with all of you guys that probably love it too. If you don't, then you need to get there because that way we can have fabulous conversations. Back to the game, though. We are going to get in. Don't even have to jump to live again. And once again, shout-outs to Riot for fixing that observer bug. That's pretty spectacular. But dual lanes versus dual lanes. Ggla versus Complexity started things out a little bit differently, but still very even across the board.
And yeah, basically that's the story of the game so far, and Chuper is going to have a little bit of trouble in the poke in the bot lane against Ulam on Caitlyn, but as I said before, cloth armor doing a very good job of mitigating that damage. Each auto attack only taking him down about 50 health at the moment, so it's a very good pickup right there, but he's looking for a Thresh hook. There goes the flash too. It looks like Chuper's going to get caught out by death sentence.
Yeah, double flashes actually as Chuper flashing away, throws down the barrier, but to what? Accord not going to get the last auto attack, and that's going to be double assists actually as well. Double assists with the kill. Going down there in the bottom lane to Ulam actually, picking that one up on Caitlyn. So kill exactly where it needs to be, and a little bit of overextension. Now 4 Doran's blade spot out there for Complexity. A little bit of a downside to going for that double AD exhaust on. A lot of Mortis goes in, but just forced right back out of there. Bunny Fufu says, I am not having any of your shenanigans. Just, go ahead, back on out. You're going to see Chuper come back to the lane. Really no action across the board off of that. Just, sometimes it's not about the kills, it's what you do because of the kills. It's a little bit too early to get anything done just yet.
Yeah, this early in the game, when it's still laning phase, when it's still time for the first blood, the kills are basically just kills. And even in the mid game, when it's 15-20 minutes, whenever you get a kill, you want to say, all right, we have map control, we have a 5v4 scenario, we want to push. But this early in the game, you're just happy to sit on that extra 300 gold from a kill, and even more from the first blood bonus. So they're going to be content with that. Ulam doesn't quite want to go back yet. He still has laning power over Chuper with the long range, as well as Bunny Fufu being the support on Thresh. Thresh, such a huge playmaker. I keep talking about this all the time, but he's basically the biggest playmaker as a support right now. He can make a lot of action happen, and we saw down there before with the Death Sentence as well as Lantern.
Going in the taunt landing at top lane onto Mega Zero. Q lands as well. Will we go in? Yes. Does not get the damage, but safeguards away. Mega safe for now. You can see even with all that pressure, both summoners still up. Just walking back to base, or back to his turret. Still has that potion in his inventory, but not looking to get dove.
It looks like Easy is not really having too hard of a time farming against Probably. Now Probably is on par with the CS. Mega Zero having to taunt out of there. Wappa Chang with a great Sonic Wave. Gonna follow that up, and the Ignite ticks down, but it's not gonna be enough. As I was saying before, we see probably he's farming like a boss right there, 58 CS, and Easy's not really having a hard time himself. So at the moment, we're just seeing sort of a passive who can farm more than the other. But we might see action in the bot lane. No, a lot of Mortis just deciding to go back off from that engagement. And so far, it looks like Wappa Chang and Billy Boss, they have that top tower, first tower of the game. Ggla is looking pretty strong already versus Complexity.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to watch out for here is that as Caitlyn continues this advantage, Caitlyn versus Vayne is not a lane you can win out there. Damage down onto Ggla, but he clicks the lantern, gets out of the way, and even the Condemn helps him out of there. The play back into the turret. Lattimortis doesn't even take a turret shot, able to repel away.
That was a good play by Bunny Fufu, just basically knowing, alright, I'm under tower now, there's nothing they can really do about this, so I'm just going to Death Sentence to try to get as much damage down as possible, and they got a tower shot, they got a couple of auto attacks from Ulam, so every little bit counts. Unfortunately, they couldn't make anything else out of it, but they still got a lot of Mortis out of their lane, which is the big goal right there, taking off some of the pressure from Caitlyn, and she really just wants to stay there and farm as much as possible, try to poke out Trooper, but at this point, Trooper has 2 Doran's Blades, so it's going to be a little bit hard to lane against the amount of damage he's going to be putting out, especially if they get in range of a Fear, and they're doing a great job of staying far enough away from MIA so that he can't land a Fear. But it looks like Wappa Chang looking for another engagement. We might see another Lantern gank coming up right for Bunny Fufu. They're waiting for a good moment, though.
Yeah, the big thing to watch out for, like you said, is that one moment. Because when you go in for that Fear, that's the pressure for Fiddlesticks. Sure, you have a Silence and maybe some Harass after that, but really that Fear is the reason you pick support Fiddlesticks. It's just the free trades, the power that it has, 3 seconds long, one of the longest CCs in the game. It's all on that support Fiddlesticks, but still has to play that carefully because without that pressure, Trooper not going to have a good time. You can see he even picking up a Cloth Armor. I'm not sure what that's going to go into later on. Maybe looking for some Ninja Tabi. Not too sure about that, but 65 CS, winning out, almost 10 CS ahead of Ulam, even though he did get taken out a little bit earlier on.
And one of the things about Cloth Armor is that it's actually not a very big investment in the first place. It sells for 210, it costs 300, so she's only going to miss out on 90 gold, and the amount of laning pressure it provides against a champion who's so reliant on auto attacks like Caitlyn, it's actually a pretty good deal, and even if she doesn't build it into anything, even if she's just going to say, alright, I can ditch this Cloth Armor, it will be well worth what she paid for it, which is going to be in total 90 gold. So not really that big of an investment for the amount of damage mitigation it's giving her from Caitlyn, but looking like Lattimortis trying to get down another gank in the top lane against Billy Boss waiting in the brush. We might see a repel very soon.
Now the repel going in there, but not just yet. Megazero baiting this out very, very well. Wants to force the commitment, but the ultimate immediately slides and dies. Billy Boss trying to get out of there. Cocoon does land for the Shadow Dash. Chained up there, the CC forced the flash over the wall. Billy Boss is out. It's like, hey, how many summoners can you blow? And the answer is, well, his flash. So he's out, but flash and ignite both down for Megazero. So a little bit of a more even trade there, trading out that flash for ignite. Lattimore still has flash, but in the meantime, was a Dragon going over to Ggla, and the jungle pressure top lane when Dragon is available. A little bit of a miscommunication there. Complexity giving that global objective and the 2,000 gold lead over to Ggla.
Although Complexity instantly realizing what happened right there when they gave up Dragon, so they're going for a hard push in the mid lane, dodging Wappa Chang's Sonic Wave. There's nothing that Lee Sin can really do at this point other than run at you and try to land his Tempest, but that's really not going to work too well. So they're going to be able to get a little bit more poke down onto this tower, and that's really the best reaction that they could possibly have at this moment. You know, they can't catch anyone out at that Dragon. You know, they're already gone. They already took it. And it's done and over with. So they're just trying to push back. They're trying to get as little of an advantage as they can to try to even that sort of gold difference that the Dragon gives right there. But at the same time, Ggla, they're looking pretty strong so far. About 1.8k gold difference right now. So it still could go either way. But the kill is onto Ulam on Caitlyn. So that's going to be pretty strong
Super
with BF.
Forced to ultimate in the bottom lane. There's the Shen ultimate. Flashes away but hits the box. Caitlyn ultimate as well. The kick into Q. Wappa Chang to pick up the kill. Follow-up kill. The Global's just not really effective. Well, I guess Easy's was effective, but no help from Megazero. That shield was just not enough. And the 3-man, the continual pressure this bottom lane really paying off. 2 kills over to Easy. The 1 there onto the assistance from Wappa Chang. Double Doran's Blades. That jungle Lee Sin able to get the job done in the bottom lane for Ggla.
Oh yeah, even though they shut Wappa Chang down early a little bit with that red steal, he's been doing a great job of getting back into the game. He's 1-0-2, he didn't give up the death, and even though he's a little bit behind in terms of his CS, he's certainly made up for that with the amount of ganking power he has, and it's a very good synergy that he has with Bunny Fufu on Thresh, because the Thresh Lantern pulls him in for a very great distance, and then he can cover twice that distance if he lands his Sonic Wave. So that's a very strong combination that he can potentially use right there. So they really have to watch out for that, and unfortunately 2 kills were given up because they... 3 kills actually were given up because they just got baited a little bit by that Lantern gank. So very good play by Wappa Chang right there to make sure that happens, and Bunny Fufu as well. Credit goes to him. But Prawley in the mid lane farming 111 CS to Easy's 114. Now it's very hard to beat Karthus in a farm war, but I'm glad Prawley can easily do it right now.
The farm going down, but it's really going to be about a little bit more than that because a lot of boards keep pouring on the pressure. No follow-up just yet. It's going to be blue builds across the board. Sheen and Tear the Goddess now built out there for Prawley. I mean, the pressure really has been mainly on that bottom lane, and it's going to keep Vayne down for a while with the double AD composition. And she's going to get to that level eventually. Taunt lands Mega Zero onto Billy Boss, putting on some damage, forcing Dominus out, and that's all Mega Zero wanted out of that trade.
And it's a very good trade for him to force out Dominus, and at this point, if Billy Boss chases a little bit too far, Mega Zero could wait out the Dominus, and it looks like he will be doing just that. I don't know if he wants to re-engage. The Ignite took him down pretty low, but it looks like he's just going to be able to defend this tower. But at the same time, Billy Boss can't tower dive without Dominus, so it is a good trade for Mega Zero.
Damage going down, the Ezreal ultimate coming out. Not quite enough to pick up a kill. Wappa hiding in that tiny little crevice. And probably not quite guessing the right way, but still he's going to be stacking his tier on up. Ezreal not landing, but the pressure's still onto this mid lane. Lattimore, it's kind of dual landing with him right there.
Yeah, it looks like it right now, and Billy Boss is right there to try to dual lane with Easy as well, so the pushing power might actually go to Prawley in this case. Well, actually, both sides have really good wave clears, so they're both just going to clear the wave and get out of there. No one can really push towers, but taking a look at the tower health, there's only about 1/3 of the health left for the mid lane tower for Ggla, whereas there's about more than 3/4. I would say that's 7/8 of the amount of health left for the tower for Complexity, so they're doing a good job of keeping that mid tower alive, and Prawley now has blue buff. Oh god, blue Ezreal with blue buff. That is pretty scary. He's going to be able to arcane shift every couple of seconds. That is a very, very good buff to have on Ezreal.
This is where we need our streamer to start busting out some Eiffel 65, because it's starting to get to that level. Probably mid lane is going to have Iceborne Gauntlets if he wants to rush that. Probably will actually see a reaction to the slower tier stacking. It's going to be picking up a very early Mana Moon. Could go for that, but he actually has just a lot of options. Even Lifesteal is something he likes to pick up. Going for Blades of the Ruined King for even more CC and just overall slow control in the course of teamfights. Pushing it onto this middle turret. You have to see some counter initiate. Trying to bait out that wall of pain. Pushing things in. Bottom lane's where the action's at. Bunny Fufu, one more auto attack, and Super with the counter engage off the Mega Zero ultimate. A nice pressure play from him. Doesn't even have to worry about his turret going down because, hey, it's already gone, so nothing to lose.
And at this point, Ulam, he got out, so they did Bunny Fufu did his job getting Ulam out alive, just trying to basically put out as much CC, Death Sentence, Flay, make sure that they don't chase Ulam, and even though he gave up a kill, Ulam is still 2-0-1 with 127 CS, so he's not hurting very much at all. But in the mid lane, Lattimore just takes that tower down, so it was only a matter of time before the tower actually did go down. But Mega Zero trying to draw his attention mid a little bit. Unfortunately, his top tower has been taking a little bit of damage. And Billy Boss, obviously with a Tiamat, he's just going to stay in the top lane and push down as much as he can, taking down that tower while the rest of the team just sort of team fights around.
This is going to tie things up 1-1. Turret top lane traded for mid. And we do have Lattimore coming back in the mid lane, soak up a little bit of that CS. Probably comes back to base, and like I said, Iceborne Gauntlets, the icy mittens there, completed for Probably comes back in the lane.
Mega Zero baits out another Dominus, but is this really a Billy Boss bait? He's doing quite a bit of damage. Ignite is not up yet, so he doesn't have that finishing power, but he's going for it.
Yeah, Mega Zero is just content to tank things up, has Sunfire Cape, so he's content that his damage over time is going to be what's winning him that pressure out. Second Dragon of the game, though, for Ggla, and I gotta say, impressive at their global control, even before this double AD lineup can start to kick into play, because traditionally that's the strength. You have a lot of poke, you can poke in a lot of objective and turret control. Not really seeing that quite yet out of Complexity.
And one of the things about Ggla is that so far they've been sort of the mid of the run. You know, you don't think of them as a team that's, oh, unfortunately they're 1-7, they're not doing too well. They're exactly 4-4, or they were exactly 4-4 yesterday. Now it's 5-4 in favor of them, so you know they can easily come back into this and be one of the top contenders for MCS. And I think they're just going to try to prove themselves here. Now Complexity has a really strong mid game and team fight phase, so they're gonna have to watch out for that. But early game, you know, they're playing this really well. They're playing safe when they need to play safe, as well as aggressive when they need to. They're trying to shut down Chuper in the bot lane. 2 deaths on Chuper, so they're doing a pretty good job on that. Wappa Chang's coming in for another gank. Unfortunately, the tower's going to go down a little bit too early. Ggla wants blood.
Chuper, the one gonna go down, one ultimate or another. If it's not one global, it's the other. Not quite global, but Ulam's still able to get in there with the kill. The Q through the turret after the ward jump. Fear goes out, but Wappa Chang still hits the Q button. Going in onto MIA, gets the last hit. Ulam able to pick up the kill.
And the tower diving a little bit far, but you know, they're all pretty much full health. They don't really, they're not really too scared right now. A lot of Mortis, however, don't want to fight him under a tower, but it looks like they're taking the fight to the jungle.
Yeah, Ulam forced to cleanse away from that. Death Sun is actually landing on a lot of Mortis. The slow coming out from Brawley does not have Arcane Shift. Can still get a little bit of poke damage done there. Meanwhile, the middle turret, Easy and Billy Boss will take that one away, tying things up at students.
Like I said before, Ggla is actually doing a really good job of playing safely when they need to play safely, and in that engagement, you know, we see a lot of Mortis. He's got a lot of tankiness, and on top of the fact that he's Elise, which has a lot of base damage in the first place, Probably was following up as well, and Ulam had no mana. Now, even though Caitlyn's an auto-attack champion, you still want mana, you still want those Piltover Peacemakers, and above all else, you want your 90 caliber net just in case something goes wrong so that you have the escape. And it was good on them to basically say, alright, we're out of this fight, we can't take this fight, it's too risky, we might be able to win it, but we don't want to throw the game at this point because we are ahead. And that's a really good point that they can make right now. So it looks like MIA and Probably going for a little bit of aggressive warding, not looking to catch anyone out yet, because we do see 4 members of Ggla sort of roaming around this mid lane jungle, but at the moment we might see a team fight here. Easy having to flash. Wow, I don't know if that flash was necessarily needed. Mystic Shot, even with Iceborne Gauntlet slowing him quite a bit, the rest of his team was right there to follow up if anything happened.
Yeah, I mean, he can play that aggressively because he knows he's got the backup, and that is really the strength of Complexity. So well practiced that they just know that they can overextend, they can do everything as long as they do it as a team. And really, if you're making bad calls, as long as you're doing them as a team, it's not going to be as bad as if it was just one guy diving in there, because he knows they have the back. Mega Zero now starting to turn things around in this lane versus Billy Boss. You can see he's actually going to go for the Wit's End route instead of Blade of the Ruined King. I'd prefer the Blade, but hey, is the Wit's End enough? Ooh, the Q steal! Wappa Chang getting his own red buff away, able to stop that from getting stolen.
And with the Wit's End instead of the Blade of the Ruined King, one of the things I think they're trying to do with Mega Zero right there is basically just lower magic resist, because they do have a double AD comp. So as much magic damage as they can force out, the better. We have a lot of Mortis, as well as Mega Zero putting out some magic damage in their kits. So they're trying to round out as much magic damage as they can to try sort of balance out the amount of damage that's done. And we already see, okay, Emblem of Valor, that's some armor. We have Doran's Shield, Warden's Mail. There's quite a bit of armor, and Warden's Mail actually slows the attack speed, so that's really good against a double AP comp, or a double AD comp, especially when one of those AD carries is Vayne. So they're building pretty well against it, so they just try to want to amplify as much magic damage as possible.
I think the amplification for the magic damage is cool and everything, but really a lot of AD, like we were talking about, coming out from Complexity. Ezreal actually ulting the bottom wave. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was, other than just, I have a blue buff and I have like a 30-second cooldown on my ultimate too, so probably it's actually starting to stack up on the gold, on the itemization. You see 173 CS and 1,000 in the bank. And once again, the dominance pop by Billy Boss is just like, look, Mega Zero, I got ults for days, able to continually get in there with the damage. Dish it out back to Mega Zero, having a little bit of a rough time.
Yeah, and Mega Zero, once the ultimate from Billy Boss wears off, Mega Zero can just sort of sustain through this pretty
down
easily.
In the top lane, ultimate coming in, Ezreal, or the counter Shen shield going out from Stand United, dodges away, the taunt in, and they shut down Mega Zero. Executing very precision taunt. Of course, the flash over the wall from Buddy Poo Poo. He's going to piece the scene. Overall, nice usage of globals from both teams. barrier and the Shen shield just a little bit too much to allow Easy to kill.
Yeah, and even with the Karthus ultimate, it wasn't quite enough. Mortis going for Wappa Chang. Tower's gonna hurt him a little bit, but at the same time, he's got the Emblem of Valor, giving him a good amount of armor as well as the Ninja Tabi. So he's not gonna be taking too much damage. I think they might be baiting this.
Himself. The Ignite is down. Mortis goes in for the repel, comes down over on the creeps, turns around for the damage. The ultimate in from MIA, gets knocked up by the kick backwards. Dragon kick able to be pretty effective in that regard. Billy Boss gets the exhaust, the damage down. The CC as well, exploding Spiderling, Fear out as well. One last auto attack. Where's the kill? Actually able to pick it up. Mortis destroys Billy Boss and my vocal cords simultaneously. This is the 9th hour of casting for me for today, so some relaxation required. Probably not relaxing, going hard, going deep in the paint. Probably will pick up another kill there. Wappa Chang going down after Billy Boss, so it just seems like a lot of farming, turrets going down, and then all of a sudden Complexity just exploding across the board. 4 kills picked up in a row.
This entire game sort of seems like everyone's still stuck in the laning phase where a couple people leave their lane to gank at a time, but ultimately we have a couple people pushing mid, a couple pushing top, one in the bottom lane. Stuff like that just keeps happening all around the game, and I do want to see a little bit more in terms of team fights from the side of Ggla. Now, on the other hand, they are up against dual AD, so double AD has some really good team fighting power, but if they can catch Trooper out at a good time, if they can burst him down really quickly, then they're going to have the advantage coming into the team fight. And Billy Boss on Renekton, Renekton can become really, really tanky. He's got a Warden's Mail as well as a Giant's Belt, and a Doran Shield on top of that to give him a little bit more health as well as damage, blocking damage from basic attacks. But he also has Dominus, which gives him a large amount of health as well as that big AoE damage. So he's a very tanky champion, and I think that's something that they could potentially teamfight in. They do have to worry about their positioning, and Ulam, on Caitlyn. Caitlyn's got some really easy positioning of her own, having such a long range. So I think teamfights could potentially work out well for them.
Yeah, team fights, we haven't actually seen any semblance of that. I mean, maybe some 3-man ganks and everything pretty effective. Probably taking the Q from Wappa Chang, kind of baiting him. It's like, hey, look, you want to press the Q again? I'm down. He just arcane shifts backwards, and all of a sudden, Wappa Chang takes a little bit of a trip on the wild side, so doesn't quite want to get that down. Probably, though, Mana Moon complete, as well as that Vam Scepter like I was talking about. Actually go for the Bloodthirster, more of a double lift innovation on the Blue Ezreal build. Billy Boss, bottom lane, throwing down Dominus once again. Mega Zero now with the additional damage from Wit's End. Actually, it's actually kind of cool, because when you think about Wit's End on Mega Zero, it's going to give him magic resistance against the Karthus ults, make him tanky in that regard. Seals away that magic resist from Billy Boss, and it does magic damage per auto attack, which you're not going to see Renekton itemize against. So it's really effective in there. It's going to allow him to penetrate those defenses for Billy Boss and make him a little bit more difficult to take down, makes him vulnerable to the AP damage from Mortis as well. Coming in, dodges out the Cocoon with the damage from the extra Q. Venomous Bite, picking up the kill for Mortis.
And one other thing I actually want to mention about that Wit's End pickup is that it blocks magic damage, which Renekton's ultimate does AoE magic damage, so he's keeping himself safe from that too, and an engagement in the jungle.
Shen ulting on to Super keeps him safe for now. The taunt, the flash taunt lands. Mega Zero hits it up. He's not going to go down to that Karthus ultimate. Super almost goes down, able to get away alive. Same thing for MIA. He's just going to be able to walk away from that. And overall, 4-for-0 exchange. Complexity playing that team fight absolutely perfectly. What do you think? I mean, is there any one thing you can really contribute to Complexity winning that team fight so hard?
There really isn't too much of a one thing I can call it. They had a lot of great plays all around, and they also juked a lot of skill shots. And one thing, once again, Probably doing a very good job of basically just arcane shifting everywhere, landing some of those Qs, and he's doing that to Bunny Fufu right now, and it's really hard to escape a blue Ezreal who has Iceborne Gauntlet. Forced to flash out of there as well. So he's taken down very low, and another big part of that fight was the Mega Zero. We had Stand United come in, and as you said, flash taunt. Very, very nice job to lock people up and allow Trooper as well as Probably to do even more damage. So really like to see that out of Complexity, and as I mentioned earlier, they're a really good team fight team. So if there's any point where they can take the game back after that, sort of shaky early game, it would be during the mid to late game phase.
Mid to late game phase, I mean, I think we're pretty much there, and that's where we're going to see this double AD carry composition really kick into high gear. You can see Probably with that Muramata completed, as well as a Village Water Cutlass. actually for a Last Whisper coming up next. Just wanted a little bit of extra CC. And he actually stops at that Bilgewater more often than not. Doesn't go for the completion of that Blade of the Ruined King, because it really sets you really far behind. 1,800 gold, that could be a Last Whisper, and really he's going to need that armor penetration. Randuin's Omen, now complete onto that Renekton. It's going to be a big tanky force in the front of these team fights. Really a little bit behind on his build. When you look at Complexity, 2 kills for everyone across the board, except for that support. MIA is traditionally a very high kill Fiddlesticks that he picks up, but not playing that way this time around, giving those kills over to the rest of his team.
And the rest of the team, it is 2 kills on everyone except for MIA, who is sitting at 0, but as the support, you said it. Basically, he wants to give those kills away to the rest of his team, so gold distribution is actually really good, and this is sort of a team where you want the kills on everyone and not just the Vayne, where they can have damage coming from Chuper, Prawley, Lotta Mortis, and even Mega Zero is doing quite a bit of damage there as well. But Chuper trying to kill Billy Boss, a great condemn, gonna knock him back after he tries to slice and dice closer, so Chuper's gonna win that engagement, and he might be able to take this tower too.
Yeah, nobody wants to mess with Chuper right now, especially not if you're stacking health, and even with that Randuin's, Renekton still can't step Chuper, level 16, level 3 final hour. Not something he could really tango with. Top lane, the continual push, probably Blue Ezreal in the poke damage down. Actually not hitting with that one, but you get the idea. Push in from the top, the middle, and the bottom. A lot more just rotating over there. Gonna look for some harassment onto Easy underneath the turret. The fear goes down, the damage as well. There's the out, but the death sentence. Will it be enough? No. Not connecting there. A lot of Mortis able to repel away. Complexity actually able to take down this turret off the back of that. A nice pick off. That's the last outer turret of the game as well. 6-2 in favor of Call.
And Ullum, oh no, he's gonna have to watch out. He might get caught out here, forced to flash out of that engagement, and he's gonna be going back to base. So at this point, Complexity has the pushing power. They can just take this turret, and there goes a flash taunt. Just a taunt.
Yeah, just a taunt there, but it's absolutely enough to flash out from Lotta Mortis. Billy Boss, though, starting to get in there, but it's immediately blown apart. Chuper and Lotta Mortis, both with anti-health stacking skills, just tearing him a new 1-second, or first inhibitor of the game. Goes to Complexity, and they are not going to stop. Probably could have thrown out the ultimate, not actually hitting anyone, but the push in actually onto the base turret. Complexity are looking to end. Mega Zero with the ability to take down the first base turret, goes for the taunt, it hits no one. Somewhat ineffective, but hey, the Nexus turret's still starting to fall. First one of the game down there is Complexity. Not actually just backing out just yet, waiting for the next wave of minions, sort of wanting GGLA to initiate. Initiate over the wall, Fiddlesticks going in, throws for him. Wapa Chang feared up, taken out, probably with the slows to come out. And really that blue build Ezreal keeping things away. There's the taunt we were looking for, death sentence as well, but Buddy Fufu not long for this world. Taken out, double there, Vork Chuper. Off the back of this, there's going to be Requiem, but to no avail. Probably actually taking a little bit of damage, but actually going to get out of here alive. Complexity is sticking around for another couple of kills. All make it out alive, 11-5 and 8-2 in turrets. Complexity just shutting this game down.
Oh yeah, and after, like I said before, a shaky early game, GGLA was doing a very good job of keeping the pressure on and making sure that they could try to shut Chuper down. I think their big mistake was actually just sort of letting Chuper get back into this. They just allowed him to farm over and over and over again. He ended up with 273 CS, the highest in the game right now. The only one who comes close is Easy with 271 on Karthus, and Karthus is a champion that farms really, really well in the first place. So that's a very good play right there by Chuper to get back into it, and I think GGLA would have wanted to either put more pressure on Chuper after they had already gotten Chuper behind in the very early game, or they could have team fought off of the fact that Chuper was really weak. He was, I think, 0-1 in the early phase, and they were zoning him from CS, but he got back into the game. He has this Blade of the Ruined King, Static Shiv, Last Whisper. There are so many items there that damage. He's back into the game, and he's fighting really fiercely right now, so it's going to be really hard for GGLA to come back into this game, and I don't know if I can call any one thing that's going to make it happen. And I think at this point, Complexity might have to make some big mistakes if GGLA wants to stay back in this.
And for GGLA to stay in this, it's going to take almost a miracle, but maybe a nice pick to get things started out there. See Q's landed there by Wapa Chang. Just trying to probe in for this, but blowing Chuper up would be a nice way to start things off. Blade of the Ruined King, Last Whisper, Static Shiv, and the BF sword. Seems charging that Static Shiv right now, up at 100 stacks. Gonna get that damage down when he pushes in, and wait, going for it, that static ship. I feel like we've seen that on all of the Ashes, but it's a little bit of a cheap alternative as well as giving you the ability to front load your damage, even if it's not quite as strong in the late game. Probably though, getting played in there, you take the death status as well, tries to throw out all the slows. Billy Boss can't even touch him. I'm not sure what's up with my voice, but it's going to be the ultimate from probably True Shot Barrage to pick up the Rampage. Taking down Wappa Chang. Mega Zero just taking the turret, backing on out of there. It's a 2-4-0 exchange. Last base turret of the game. Last Nexus turret, actually. But Complexity dropping down dangerously low. Shen ultimate, not enough. A taunt for Mega Zero, closing things out. The kills continuing to come his way. Now Chuper on the other side of the base, not allowing Ulam back to his turret. GG is starting to come out as Complexity close out the game. They will take down Ggla. A nice turret tie for style points. Super going for those. Nexus falls 16 to 8, 9 to 2 in turrets. Complexity take out Gold Gaming Los Angeles.
And throughout the game, I say, Ggla, they could have done a better job at shutting down Trooper, but Trooper actually had a really good idea right there to pick up the cloth armor in the early game. And as we see in his late game build right now on Vayne, there's nothing that builds out of cloth armor in his build. So he did sell it, but like I said before, it wasn't a big investment. It was 90 gold. That was the difference between the buy price and the sell price. So it helped him survive through laning phase. It helped him get back into the game, and ultimately that 90 gold didn't really matter because right now we see he has 13k. That's about 2,000 more than anyone else in the entire game, so he's really not hurting on that gold at all. So very good job on Trooper to help him get back into the game in that respect, and very good job on the rest of his team to make action happen around the map. Mega Zero on Shen, making some really nice Shen ganks happen with his ultimate. And that's going to conclude it for the day. Complexity taking the last win away from Ggla.